Hello, Johnny Jiggets here from Peak Performance Fishing, and today I want to talk to you about schooling fish. Now, we've gone in depth, and hopefully there's going to be a link or somewhere where you can check that other video out where I go really in depth on schooling fish and go into all the nuances and pretty much everything. But this is the #1 tip. One of the things I mentioned in that previous video, and it was really long, this one hopefully will be a little bit shorter, but in that video I mentioned where if they're not actively schooling on the surface, a lot of times it's really hard to buy a bite. Even if there's an area, even if there's a spot where there is a school of bass and stripers and stuff like that, and they're suspended, they don't want to bite anything but maybe a drop shot or a worm. You try and go through there with your reaction baits when they're not actively busting on the surface, you can't buy a bite. It's so much of the time you cannot get those fish to bite. I'm going to give you a tip that I almost don't want to give away, and I had to pay money to learn this tip. I don't think I would have learned it. I don't know. I'm not sure if I would have learned this otherwise. I learned it from another BASS Elite Series Pro, and this is a tip that it doesn't work all the time, but when it does, it can literally win you tournaments because no one else is doing it. Probably no one else is hardly even thinking about doing this. You would think when there's a school of fish, you don't want to disturb them, right? You don't want to go in there and get off your boat and you know, and have your motor running and stuff like that. You would think it would scare them away, it would stop them from feeding. Well, there's a lot of the times it actually fires them up, and it's not even just in the summertime. There's a lot of times in the summer where they're schooled up and they're schooled up on the bottom, and they're not schooling like on the surface, but they're in a big school, a big wad of fish on a particular spot, maybe a rock pile or something, but they're concentrated pretty much on the bottom. Maybe some fish are suspended, but they're more on the bottom. They're relating to the thermocline more than anything. And those fish in the summer, you can idle over them sometimes and get them excited. Or you can do donuts in a circle. You can just get on your motor and do donuts, and you can fire them up, or you can kill the school where they won't bite anything, and they're done, like pretty much all day. They're pretty much done. It's toast. The spot is done. Or what I like to do, and this is an amazing technique, I'm actually amazed sometimes how well this works. What I'll do is, and I don't have it down to an exact science, what I'll do is I'll go to a specific spot, a specific underwater point, rock pile, whatever I think there, or know that there's a school of fish, and I will actually get as close to the spot, and I will jump off a plane. I'll get off the motor, I'll cut it off and let the boat glide to a stop. Or I'll get off the gas really close to the spot and have just a little bit of gas in there. What I'm doing is I'm pushing the bow of the boat. And it's, especially in these herring lakes, like Clark's Hill, Hartwell, Russell, Lake Murray, what it does is it pushes these herring. They get real nervous. They're real skittish type of fish, and they relate more to the surface. So it just scares them, and they just go crazy. They go wild. They just dart everywhere. And it pushes those fish oftentimes shallower, and the bass says, he's gonna go, they're gonna, big schools of them are gonna go up and just bust them. You're checking out footage here. This is absolutely incredible, where I will literally cut the boat off as I'm about to stand up to the front of the boat, and it's gliding to a stop. I'm walking up, and the fish start schooling before the boat even stops. And here's the really funny thing, is I'll watch one of these spots from another location, maybe 100 yards away. I'm not seeing any school in action at all. I'm waiting to see if I see any where I know there's a school of fish. I'll wait 10 or 20 minutes, I'll fish another spot and catch some fish, and I'll watch a spot, right? And I won't see anything happen. It's like a dead zone, okay? There's nothing going on. Maybe some of the really good spots where there's big schools of fish, you'll occasionally see them come up and bust or something like that. But generally there's nothing going on. And then I will drive over there and I'll do this little trick. And I tell you what, it's just amazing. You're checking out this footage, and it's just amazing how awesome it is, how well it works. If you use this in your tournament fishing, use this in the right situation. Sometimes it doesn't work, though. Sometimes it actually turns them off. Experiment with it. Remember, schooling action, a lot of times in the fall, and then again in the spring, after the bass spawn, there's going to be some schooling action going on the shad and herring that are spawning in like that late April through May, and sometimes into June, depending on where you're at. So keep that in mind. This is an awesome tip. You don't want to forget this. If you have some bass fishing tournaments in the fall and you've got schooling fish on your local lakes, or you're in the Carolinas, or you're in the South, man, probably even Oklahoma and Texas, That's a really killer technique. It's going to catch you a lot of big fish, and it's going to catch you a lot of really, you're going to have awesome fun days out there catching fish until you're sore. So this has been Johnny Jenkins. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye-bye.